Hi, I'm Michael Smith for Nevada Trails. Today I have a very special show. I have Matt Brown of the Department of Tourism, and your main function with them is the Nevada Magazine.
Yeah, I'm the editor.
Excellent. Well, I absolutely love your magazine. I accidentally said on the show that I used to pick them up at a tourist place, and now I can't find them there anymore. So other people are getting my Nevada Magazine, but I've always loved the quality, and you guys keep the bar raised high. I'm always rooting for you when they talk about budgets, because I think you're one of those people that really people love to look at your work.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it. The magazine's been around 76 years, believe it or not. So 2011 was our 75th anniversary, and put out a special edition, which is still available.
Well, how would you get a hold of that copy?
NevadaMagazine.com is the best place to do that, and as well as subscribe. Look at me, I'm already into my pitch.
No, I thought that one. If you're going to check him out, check out the 75th.
Yeah,
I held it up the whole show. I was so proud of that magazine. I don't usually do that.
192 pages with we reprinted stories from our 75 years of publications, and it was just a very nice project, and we had a lot of fun putting it together. But I think what a lot of people don't know about Nevada Magazine is it's not state funded. So we really depend on the support of subscribers and advertisers. So that's why you might find us pitching like that, a little bit more often, just because we want to stay around and we do good work. And
well, I wasn't pitching for them to buy your magazine as much as it was such a good quality. I don't know, sometimes you see things that you don't know how good it is. It's worth your time. I mean, this is, when I get your magazines, I read them, and then I make sure I put them someplace else. The people up here at the Heartstrings, I'll give one of my copies when I'm done, and they'll keep it out and they'll hand it on to somebody. It's that good that you share it. There's very few magazines I even share with my friends and family, and that's just one of those things. My mom, I send her copies, and what happens then is when they visit, they want to see something they read in the magazine. And for an example, I think he gave me a whole bunch one time, or I just had a collection. I think he gave me one on the Loneliest Road. I don't know if that's one you gave me, but I had it, and they drove here, and they insisted on driving that home.
Oh, nice.
So it was like, it altered their whole plans of driving home. And just because of that article, they saw some pictures, and they did all the stops, Ely and just the whole way they stopped. But all the stops on in that one. And I'd already done a show, so I showed them my show, then I showed them your magazine, and they took that road. So it was kind of like, works,
Yeah, well, and you've touched on, our mission. The magazine is to show beautiful photos of the state and have people read our stories and then get inspired to travel.
Yeah, and what I've also noticed is the length of time that people are here is less. So if they're going to be here for a period of time, you got to get them with a right dossier of things to do. Once they get here, they don't really have time to study it as much. So I always try to help the concierge, and that's one other place I throw your magazine to, and let people know education, because there's just too many things to do here in Nevada. And like I told you earlier, if we could just get them to drive a little bit farther away from the big cities and just stop and look around. That's what hooked me when I was about 19. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe my eyes.
Well, yeah, it really is the last bastion of the Wild West, and I think that's what appeals to a lot of people about rural Nevada. There is so much open land, public land, and we explore that land as a staff, take photos, write stories, and then, even if people can't go to these places, they can live vicariously through our adventures. So.
Well, are you still out on the road as much as the last time we talked?
We've toned it down a bit, but that's not necessarily because of any one reason, just we're actually planning a trip to Jarbidge, which is in northeastern Nevada, north of Elko, if you've ever heard of it.
It's a nice area, nice people. I think I just told Felicia about one of the stories. They like to shoot guns outside.
Well, that could be said for a lot of the state, right?
This is very, very target hunting and sunny. I think the story was where there's the guy has a propane tank at the ski resort, and he had to put it into a horse trailer so people would quit shooting at it. But that was just one of the funny stories I hear. But everybody I've heard out there, people are sweet. We have another guy, Curtis Fong, who does a run across Nevada, or a bike run across Nevada, and just one of his stops is there, and the locals just spoiled. Whoever's on that bike run in September are just spoiled, and a lot of times they repeat it because of the niceness of the people on this road. and Elko is one of them.
Oh yeah, Elko, great town. One thing, Elko and Jarbidge, they just have outstanding events. Like this weekend, this will, of course, it will be over by the time the show airs, but they're having the Basque Festival this weekend.
Oh,
and my neighbor, who actually has Basque roots through his family, is attending it. So it's just nice to see my neighbor in Reno attending that event in Elko and supporting
so cool.
it. And
And he'll be bringing some pictures back for you, maybe?
I hope so. I told him to take a lot of photos. So.
Well, how are you surviving with your 2.5-year-old son? Are you starting to take him with you?
Not. He hasn't had too many Nevada adventures
yet. Not quite yet.
But yeah, he's doing well. He's got tons of energy, so he definitely needs to extend
well, you
that
seem energetic too, so I bet you pass it on to your son. What's his name?
Nolan.
Fantastic.
And everyone thinks, the famous Nolan Ryan, because I love baseball, so they automatically assume that was why I named him that, which isn't necessarily the case, but Nolan Ryan was definitely
Well, that's
an
impressive person to compare yourself with, but there's a lot of Nolans that are played baseball, though. I have baseball cards from the early 40s. There's a lot of Nolans.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good name.
It's a good baseball name.
Yeah, it's a great baseball name. I could throw you a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But we had Rick Parr, the Reno Aces, on recently too, and they're doing great. And so your Reno is a good little town to live in.
Yeah, one story that we're doing coming up in our September-October issue is a story on the Midtown District in Reno, and it's gotten a lot of buzz lately. They have their own website, so check that out when you can. But
and that's like Midtown Reno or RenoMidtown.com or something.
I believe it's RenoMidtownDistrict.com, but I could be wrong on the exact URL. But it's
well, you can track you down to the Department of Tourism and ask for sure.
Yeah.
But were they the ones that just did the downtown bowling for the gals that were like World Championship or something?
No, that was a little bit different. That was in
incredible.
downtown Reno, on Virginia Street, right under the Reno Arch, and I did in fact go to that. So.
Well, that's one reason I like about Reno is they have such activities that you never know what you're going to get when you get down there. And they made 4 bowling alleys, elevated them, and being a bowler, I'm like, but they also gave them $1 million if they would have got a 300. But one of they're off the top 4 in the world, so this could be a possibility. I don't know if they got one. Did you?
No 300s. Actually, I thought the scores were pretty low, and that could have perhaps been due to the conditions. Just they don't bowl outside typically, and kind of windy, which is typical of Reno. So
it's typical of the area. Yeah, don't get married after 2 in Nevada. I was doing the symphony this weekend in Genoa that pops in the park, and we had the Reno Symphony. And I tell you, if you're lucky enough to get to the Reno Symphony, do it. They are a class act and a lot of fun. The conductor was just having a ball. He was just having a ball. He gave away his baton to somebody who won a contest, and he was making all kinds of actions and stuff. He was hilarious. And what part of Reno is the symphony play out of? I forgot the name of their building.
Oh, the Pioneer Center?
Pioneer Center, yeah. So check out the Reno Symphony. You'll be glad you did. And tell them Michael sent you, because I saw them at Pops in the Park, and if they can play in the wind this good, they have to be a little bit better on their own turf.
Well, and the arts and culture scene in Reno and Nevada, and as a whole, is phenomenal. And the Smith Center for the Performing Arts just opened in Las Vegas. So,
all right.
They've actually, it will forever be known for its casinos, of course, and the famous Strip. But you definitely have to check out the Smith Center for the Performing Arts, and the Mob Museum just opened.
I've heard those are very good. And I think the Mob Museum's even mixed with the nuclear museum or something. They're all kind of
the Atomic Testing Museum, has been around for a while.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Must have been an anniversary I caught.
They eventually became the National Atomic Testing Museum, so it was an official designation that kind of, I don't know, made it newsworthy. So maybe it seemed like it was new to you if you had heard about it that way, but. Yeah, the museum scene in Southern Nevada is phenomenal, and we had in our January-February 2012 issue, our feature story was on Southern Nevada museums. And
excellent. Well, I hope you get up here and do some of our beaches up here at the Tahoe area, because the Nevada is just doing great now for tourism. I hope you're part of that.
Yeah. It's that has we're a division of the Nevada Commission on Tourism.
If you ever want us to shoot you pictures for your magazine, I'd be glad to.
Yeah,
Justin's good. He's got the skills. I know I have the skills because it's not bragging if it's true.
Well, and they've made it easier with digital cameras these days. So I think, if you have a decent camera and you know lighting pretty well, you can take a good photo.
I just have my techniques be buy a good camera and be at the right place at the right time. And very lucky, and I take a lot of pictures. That's the third thing. You got to take a lot of pictures, and you'll have those treasures. And I turn them into mini movies, and we'll be playing one at break. But one thing we just talked about is that September-October issue will be the results of your photo contest.
Yeah, a perfect segue into our photo contest. And this photo of the dog here is a past winner. So just to give you an idea of the quality of photos that you see in that contest, we've been doing it since the 1970s, the photo contest.
Which is awesome, because I know in my region in Carson Valley and up in Tahoe area, there's some great photographers. Every time I walk into here at the Copeland Arts Center, we usually we just had a photographer that just absolutely did beautiful wildlife scenes. You would have loved him. And we're going to go to a break now, and we'll show you one of my mini movies, and we'll be back after you watch it, enjoy it. I think it's the 4th of July. Thank you very much. Hi, we're back with Matt Brown, the editor of Nevada Magazine, and we were just talking how the magazine's doing quite well off of sales.
Yeah, we've had great feedback from our subscribers and just generally people reading our stuff, even on NevadaMagazine.com. Obviously, the internet is a big part of what we do nowadays, too.
It's always good to read those comments. I like those comments, too.
Yeah, we have quite a few comments on our stories online, and engagement is a big part of it. You know, as the editor of the magazine, I like to hear people's thoughts, and even if they
that's very smart.
Even if they didn't like something, you know, we want to hear. I call it constructive criticism.
No, it could be educational.
You know, I mean, yeah. But we were talking about newsstands, and we have increased our awareness on newsstands. You know, we're in Smith's and Walmart and Costco and Rayleigh's. So Scolari's, you see our magazine right as you check out.
I know. That's where I used to buy mine, and then I got up at the Tourist Bureau, and it's such a beautiful magazine, and then the racks. You just got to pick one up.
Yeah, we have fun choosing the cover. This latest cover, our July-August 2012 issue, has a train from the Nevada Northern Railway in Ely, and that was one of the 6 treasures that were named in the recent Discovery Your Nevada campaign. So.
Excellent. And we have 5 more treasures?
Yeah, so a little bit about Discovery Your Nevada. It was a Nevada Commission on Tourism campaign. They'd like to promote in-state travel more. So they figured if they had people vote for their favorite treasure in each of the 6 territories, then, you know, it would spur interest. And they are Nevada Northern Railway in Ely, Pyramid Lake, Valley of Fire State Park outside of Vegas, Goldwell Open Air Museum near Rhyolite, the ghost town of Rhyolite, Dangberg Home Ranch Historic Park, which is our local.
Just down the street from here at Studio.
And I'm missing one, but it'll come to me, I'm sure.
After Dangberg, you just can't speak anymore.
We can't.
I had done a show on that with Mark Jensen, and I was just trying to get the people to really see something that's something that you might think it's not a tourist attraction, but once you see it, you go, wow, why didn't I stop in here earlier? It's just how people survived when this whole rough place. I think when Dangberg retired, he said, "I've dug my last ditch." And if you've ever gone up in a balloon and see how much his property has ditches to water his property, a lot of property too.
Yeah, and
you'd be amazed.
We did go up in a balloon recently, and the Carson Valley is so beautiful, you know, especially with the snow-capped peaks.
Did you use the balloon Nevada?
We did.
I love that man.
A plug for Whit.
Whit Landvetter has probably. I always put him on my anniversary shows.
He's a great guy. You know, most people in his position make sure you have a good time. You know, they have good jokes to tell, and they're just fun guys in general.
I went up for a birthday, and he has his history down. So if you're up there exploring our little area, he can tell you exactly if that was a Chinese one or this is one, and what properties were where and what, and then he knows when to be quiet, let you soak it in. And then one of my favorite times when I was with him is he had a bridal couple on that. He had the basket turned into a beautiful wedding place. So this valley is great for weddings too. I know a lot of people talk about the whole state, but our little region has some beautiful weddings. You get married with, and Whit is he can marry you. That's even more special.
I wouldn't want to marry Whit.
No.
Oh, you
As
mean
a
like
minister.
that? Okay, no, I get it.
He's already married. But it's a very. It's not like you're. Did you go up with a friend in the basket too?
I did. Our associate editor Charlie Johnston and I went up, and out of Corley Ranch, which you're probably aware, they have a great Halloween fall festival.
Matter of fact, that's one of my upcoming shows. I want to try to track them down and get on the show because that's kind of how I got you on the show. I was so used to seeing Nevada Magazine at Scolari's. I'm thinking, why don't I just call him? And then. To my surprise, Jan Geary, who used to be the local editor here, was involved with the magazine. I thought, so we had her on the show, and she said to have you on your show, and you're great too. And you're so picky. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but as editor of my college newspaper, I know when someone's really scrutinizing everything. And I have a hard time finding stuff to call you about.
Yeah.
That good. I was editor-in-chief for 4 years, and I'm pretty picky.
Janet did a recent radio interview, and she has come up with a new nickname for me, which is Matticulous.
That's a good one, because I think I made a joke last interview about you even putting your airs on in the magazine of things, and I thought that is a man who wants to get criticism to be the best.
Well, I mean, you have to, you know, it's about integrity with journalism, and once you lose that, there's really no point, in my opinion. You know, I mean, want to be 100% factual, and you strive for that, and of course you're human, so make a few mistakes here and there.
Well, to be honest, the last show, you're so good at what you do, and you got to get the magazine, and you probably, if you have the magazine, you know what I mean. I was worried that someone's going to steal you, check you away. That's why I was kind of asking, how much do you love the place? Do you like here? I was kind of making sure. It sounds like you're still hanging in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We love Nevada Magazine. I love Nevada Magazine.
No one's trying to steal you?
Well, if they are, they haven't made it public yet. So
well, that's good, because your magazine's it's very competitive. You know, I'm on the fringe of a lot of these other things for communications, and I just know your field is very competitive, and I imagine people are talking about you right now. How come they're buying? Well, how come you did this and we didn't do that? You know, because I see stuff you do that's innovative, and like having people email you and communicate. And that's great.
Yeah. We try to stay on the cutting edge, I guess you could say, especially with the social media stuff.
Well, you put yourself out there. What you do when you do a story and you say it a certain way, and someone does your story and goes on that trip, and that's not what you say it is. It comes back to you, and it comes back to me when I do something. I say you got to go there, and all of a sudden I made a mistake.
Yeah. Well, you definitely don't want to mislead people, and that's been part of our strategy of, you know, well, why would you want to travel around to these places? It's pretty simple. We want to put ourselves in the shoes of tourists, you know, and if something's really remote and you need to be more cautious when you go there, you know, we want to be in that position to tell people. And we actually got lost once in Sheldon National Wildlife Refuge, which is a very remote part of the state in northwestern Nevada, and so we put that in the story. You know, I mean, it's those sorts of anecdotes that make for a better story too.
I think it's a great idea, because I've had Stan Pear, his book on ghost towns and mining towns has a lot of survival tips in it. And if you are going to be traveling around Nevada, it's good to read these books to bring with them, because this is a wild state. It's a lot tougher than people. It's just not a place you just drive around. You got to have backup water and backup things, because things happen. But make sure you're safe.
Well, and especially for the younger generations, not to stereotype, but you know, don't count on your cell phones. You know, I mean, bring maps, bring water, bring, you know, extra gas, extra fuel. Food.
Yes, definitely, because even the experts I've had on the show, Stan Pear is one of them, and other people have had that one time when something just didn't go right. He used to drive down paths where the railroads used to be and just kind of explore and make it was a trail or not. And he found his vehicles that he was using weren't up to par, so he kept on elevating his status so he could do it, because he really has a passion for the state. And I think he loves the middle of the state the best. Is there a part of the state that you like the best?
Oh man, I think I have to take the fifth on that one, just because I mean, it's just, no, it is phenomenal. I think it almost depends on what mood you're in, you know, because Vegas, being on the Strip is wonderful, you know, but then compared to being isolated on the top of Boundary Peak, the highest point in the state, it's just a completely different experience. There was a solar eclipse recently on May 20th, and
it was awesome.
We went to the center of the state near Arc Dome. It was our goal to hike to the top of Arc Dome, but just ran out of light. But just seeing Arc Dome, you know, having the special solar eclipse viewing glasses, I mean, there's nothing like that, you know, just pure isolation. And that's what's so cool about rural Nevada, is you can get away from it all.
Where my love came for it, and I'm really surprised I'm in this part of Nevada, to be honest. I used to go to Vegas every year for real estate conventions, and I found myself in the Lake Mead area, and I just loved how you could be into such a concentration of stuff and stimulus, and all of a sudden have such a concentration of non-stimulus. This is in the older days before Mead got big, but it was just, I just loved it. I saw the sheep, the wild sheep, and a lot of wild things, and everywhere I looked, everything looked like a painting. So I bet as a photographer, you're just in heaven every day here.
Yeah, that's a big part of our trips is the photography. And check out our profile on Flickr. It's a photo gallery website. We have tons of photos on there that you don't see in the magazine. So.
I can do that for hours, and I have. Go and look at your photo library.
As well as, not to cut you off, the 76 years of cover images are on Flickr as well, and people love those.
Yeah, and I keep up the good work. Are you studying any other magazines for your own self-education of what other people are doing, like National Geographic? Or are you just kind of doing what you want to do out of your own heart? Because there's some competition
Well,
out
I
there.
think it's a little bit, you go with your gut on things, but it's funny they mentioned National Geographic because that is definitely one of my favorites, and my mom recently said it's like a National Geographic for Nevada, so that was pretty much the biggest compliment I could
Actually, that's why I was leading up to it,
so.
because I was comparing your magazines with National Geographic just recently, and I thought, I don't know how you could do a better job. I mean, you're already there. I mean,
well, thank you.
You could just maintain, and that's the hard thing to do, is maintain, because one thing about this show, I do 52 shows a year, and you do a lot of shows too for your magazine, because it's just a lot of stuff in your magazine, a lot of things. So you really have to become that. Every time I turn a page, I find another page of stuff that's beautiful. And same with here. Someone will call and they'll have something for me to do, and there's just so much to do. I feel like I don't have enough shows. We're creating other shows just because there's so much that I want to have other people experience. And it's, I'm bringing in some young people, so their eyes are different than my eyes. And they're seeing stuff that I'm not seeing. It's great.
It's a good problem to have,
Yeah.
I think, is kind of how I look at it. So many different story ideas, and then you get into the history of the state, like our current July-August issue up here. There's a story about the 100-year anniversary of a flood in a mining camp called Mazuma. Just got completely obliterated by this flood.
Oh, no.
And the 100th anniversary is July 18th. So this occurred July 18th, 1912.
Wow.
And just to research that stuff and see photos, spent a day at the Nevada Historical Society in Reno.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and it's just, that's a whole nother part of what we do, because people love the history stories.
Yeah.
And so we try to get that in there every issue and incorporate history wherever possible. So.
Well, I survived the Johnstown flood, and I think if we didn't have the technology, a lot more people would have been killed. So imagine back then, you don't have a chance.
Yeah, just a terrible thing. And someone actually contacted us through our website, through a comment on our website. His grandmother died in this Mazuma flood, and so he's going to go there to kind of commemorate that. He's going to go to Mazuma, which now is just, I don't even know if any structures exist there. And just a few grave sites and that sort of thing.
Well, that's wild. I would love, like my family has, my great-grandfather was General Sheraton, and we have a town named after him in Sheridan. I thought, I should go there and see if there's anything after my grandpa. My pappy. But what is your website for people to send in stories like that for you to investigate? Because that's a good idea. That will touch on because there's a lot of lifelong Nevadans.
Well, NevadaMagazine.com is our website. But also we're all over social media: Facebook, Twitter, Google+, all the big ones. And I did think of the sixth treasure. It's the Star, which is a famous Basque eatery in Elko.
Sorry,
Thank
Matt.
you.
It's time to head home.
Thanks for having
Nevada
me.
Trails, and get Nevada Magazine. You'll be glad you did. Thank you very much.